Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Mick Parkin ahead of his bout against Jan Lysak on Cage Steel 25 on April the 10th in the Behind Closed Doors event. Michael, mate, how's things? It's a little bit of a different camp for you this time with it being right in the middle of lockdown, but how are things going?
Yeah, it's been good. I've actually been in the camp now for like a year. I've had that many fights pulled through. I've just never been out of one really. So, and then when I haven't been fighting, Phil's had a few fights, so I've constantly been helping him as well.
Straight off the bat, then let's talk about that. It's been very, very frustrating for you since turning professional. I mean, it's been really difficult for you to get a fight. Then when you have had a fight, it's been cancelled, whether it be due to a lockdown or an injury. How frustrating has it been since turning pro?
I turned pro, obviously, had the one fight and things were all right. Then I had a fight fall through, and then I moved to Fishers, was training, looking to get a fight. And then, literally lockdown happened just before my fight. So that fell through. Like, I think it was literally 2 years before, I think it fell through, one of them. And obviously, people didn't know how they were training. Managed to start, sorry, somebody's ringing us there. Managed to start training and getting training properly. And then that Probellum was looking to go ahead. So I got matched up with that. I think my opponent fellow got a new one, was looking up. Then I think literally on the Thursday, I was going to fight the Saturday. The council just put a blocker on us. Then I went back into like a second lockdown. It's looking a bit crap. And then I started training again. And obviously there was no like really looking for fights, but I just thought I'll just keep training and just keep getting better. And obviously other people like on Cage Warriors or KSW were getting fights. So I was like still improving myself, so it wasn't like wasted time. But I just frustrated when you can't get a fight at the end of it. So hopefully now, I'm still holding my breath for the week to go, so hopefully we'll get there.
How important has that then been for you to change the mindset of not going into a fight camp to focus on an opponent, but spending this last, 12, 15 months to focus on yourself and focus on your development as a fighter?
Yeah, me and Fisher's been gone through, like, usually, obviously, you go up in the fight camp, you're like, game plans, stuff like that. We've been able to strip it back to, like, I've picked up a few bad habits and stuff like that over the years, and just trying to correct all them and just basics. Like, I think when I first joined, I managed to go, I went to Poland with Phil for his fight, and then Fisher just paired us, and we literally just worked on the jab, and I couldn't even jab, my feet were all over, and I just felt terrible. Just taught about the basics, and then, like, it was a slow process, and I felt I was getting that the way he likes it, and then we started adding the right hand. I'm just starting to get that now. So just a slow build up, but it's good to see improvements. Like, I recorded myself, I had like loads of little things that were just wrong. You obviously can always get better. So it's just been like literally to the bare basics. So it's been good as well, really, to train like that.
I know when you were allowed as well, you were travelling around the country going to like the Scottish Hit Squad, Team Cowbon in Liverpool. Why was that important for you to go to these different coaches and pick up maybe there you go, Scottish Hit Squad t-shirt? Brian will be loving that. But how important is that? How important has that been for you? Again, for that development side of things, but going to different coaches, seeing how they teach different things, in mixing with the caliber of athlete that you are.
Yeah, it's been good. So I think the first person I've trained with, like, away from Fishers was Paul. He come down, did a few, was doing rounds with Phil, and Phil was like, "Oh, Mick's pretty decent, he'll do a round with you." And he's like obviously amazing, he's grappling and that, so that was good. I did a round with him, and then a few of his camps, because obviously I don't think there's many big guys from up there, so I think like we're the closest place. So a few camps he asked us to help him out, and was like, "Oh, would you be willing to come down for a couple of days?" And obviously it's good for me as well. So I would go out of his camp. It's good to have somebody like him because he grapples a bit different to most big lads. Most big lads want to be on top and pressure. But he's quite comfortable on his back. He's got like obviously unbelievable triangles, stuff like that. So it's good to get training with him, looking like pass guards rather than just like most bigger people who are scrambling up, the explosive up. He'll be happy on his back, play a guard. So that was good, talking to him. And then going to Liverpool, obviously Kelbon, obviously Tom's like killing it. Killing obviously all of them. They train so hard down there. So go down there, it's like just 100 mile an hour. They train just so hard. But it is good, like, and even just speaking to them, I pick up loads of little techniques for them, like, all do different things that you can add to your game. Even speaking to the likes of Tom, he was like, "Oh, mate, I couldn't get fights sometimes." He was like, "Just, there's no heavyweights, it's a nightmare." And he was like, "It's sometimes when a year without fights, I just have to stop ready all the time." And he's like, "Just keep believing in yourself, that's going to get there." And like that, and he says, when that time I got in there for fights, I was like so much better than these guys. So that's what I'm looking at now.
How much of an inspiration is that then for you to be around the likes of Phil de Vries, KSW world champion, Paul Craig, just on that cusp of the top 15 in the UFC, Tom Aspinall, of course, killing it in the UFC since he signed. What's that like as an inspiration for you as a young professional to be around these guys?
Yeah, it's awesome. Sometimes when you go, like, especially with Paul, because I've been go a few times, it's good to see my improvements as well. Like, say sometimes I went there and he would just triangles non-stop. And even just to defend the triangle once or twice, like, no, I'm getting a bit better. But yeah, it's good to speak to them and that, and just take every day as it comes. Like there's no difference apart from them just show up every day. So that's all I've got to do. Just keep getting better.
If we do look forward now to the fight, of course, April 10th, we're hoping we'll eventually get this fight on.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You are facing Jan Lysak with absolute, of course, no disrespect meant to him. He is on a 7-fight skid. In terms of an opponent like Jan, is it not difficult to get up for something like that? But what was your sort of thoughts when the name got put forward? And yeah, how do you feel about the matchup?
I was happy just to get a fight at first because it's just been like no luck at fights, and then like when there is opponents there that maybe not taking fights, I think I'm awkward position because I've only had one pro fight. I think I'm a hard fight for people with a bit more experience in this, so they turn us down, and it's like a lose-lose for some people. Like I got offered some opponents with like say who are 8-0 and that's like on foreign shows, and like if they beat me, they beat somebody you want to know. If I beat them, they've been beat or somebody you want to know. So I understand why they're not taking it. And some of the biggest shows like Bellators and stuff like that, they'll not even look at you until like KSWs. They'll not even look at you until you've had 5 or 6 fights. So I know loads of people do like sort of pad a record and fight a few people and get the rounds in, but I've never really wanted to do that. I train at all. I want to like test myself a bit. I think it's come to the point now where I'll just need to fight whatever I can get, build a record, then look towards the biggest shows and start testing myself. But in terms of opponent, you know, when I heard him, like he's obviously lost a few in that, it doesn't bother us. Like I think I get like nervous whenever you give us a fight with somebody off the street, and I would still be like, oh, I need to get better at this, and I need to get better at that. That's why I like to do it, just to test myself and stuff like that. So obviously heavyweight is a bit different. Like anybody can swing and get caught with that punch. So you've got to be switched on. I can't just take the fight and think, oh, I'm just going to breeze through him. So we could like show that I've improved. People can hopefully watch us and think, oh, that looks a bit better. This looks a bit better. And just go through the motion, see what happens. Just take me time with it, going through the fight, and just see what happens then.
In terms of the event itself, when we look at it, I've spoke to Dom a couple of weeks ago, and everything they've put in place, the protocols to make sure all the athletes in the corners are safe, to get the backing to be able to put the event on in the first place. I mean, there's so much gone into this. How good do you think it is for athletes, the likes of yourself, who aren't signed to a Bellator or KSW just yet, but to give you still the opportunity to compete while we're still in the midst of this pandemic?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, it's so good that they've been able to do it. That's what I says. That obviously it's a great show. I think my second amateur fight was on there. I thought for the amateur belt, like say my second pro fight, I think it caught me first, but the day of memories, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. So that's good. Like I mentioned him, he was like, oh, which one was that? And I was like, oh, it was a long time ago. So it was good. I've never fought it before. I remember it was a big cage. I think it was like a massive cage, stuff like that. So it was good to get that experience in. But people need fights, like not just me, like there's everybody like in the gym, like all the pros have been training so hard, some of them, and like them have just been the same as me, like things falling through. But it's hard to stay motivated. I do love training, so I obviously get if a fight falls through, I'm gutted. But I never like take time off. I always like to go and like even if I'm getting smashed the gym, I always feel like I'm getting better. I'm constantly asking Fisher questions, people like, well, Mick talking again. Constantly asking like, what do you do here? What do you do that? I kind of do it. But I do love training, so it's been good, just constantly training stuff like that. But it is a bit disheartening for people when you've got like no end goal in sight. So now it looks like people can start getting motivated because fingers crossed things are getting back normal now.
You've mentioned Fisher a few times now, of course. Bellator athlete Andrew Fisher, the head coach over at TFT. This will be your first fight out of TFT as well.
Yep.
What's that been like, switching gyms and training and learning at TFT?
So I went to Fisher's at first. It's a bit like, I knew Fisher from shows and he's always big sound, but like when you go and you don't know what to expect from the fighters and that. And they were all like dead nice. Like Neary was trying to like kill you now when you come in different fight there. There was hard rounds, but was like tackling liberties, which I thought, oh, people be trying to like kill you. But now everyone was dead inviting, and to be honest, he's put so much time into us. Like some fighters, like if you go to your gym, they might be like fob them off. But he's like give us so much time, like 1-to-1. He's willing to pad us all the time. Like even when I go away, like trips away, he's like, oh, I'll bring the pads, we'll train, and like it must like frustrating for him. Like some of the stuff, honestly, is like basic, and I couldn't do it. But he never like loses his temper, and I would just take it so slow. He always breaks things down nicely for us. Nah, it's been amazing. Like, can't thank him enough, really.
How have the trips away been for you as well? Of course, you've been out to Poland a few times now with Phil. You were down in London for James Hendon there just the other week. What's it been like for you to see these shows that are now on a global scale and think, one day I'm going to get there and it's going to be an up-and-coming heavyweight corner in me?
Yeah, it was to go to KSW was amazing. I think that was like my first like really big show I've been behind the scenes, and like their production's amazing. Like they're like massive telly up above, and like all the KSW the pictures come up like lights. So it was amazing. Like just think, oh, fighting this one day, be class to like walk out, and that's like obviously a bit different because there was no crowds, stuff like that. And like Phil was saying before, they took to the arenas. That's amazing when that the arenas. Like it's good to get behind the scenes and just think like, oh, the production, that's amazing. But like at the end of the day, it's still a fight. Doesn't matter who, like what show it's on. You're in there with somebody trying to chin you. So, but it would be good to get them big shows, just get your name out there and start like fighting the higher level people.
This Cage Steel event is behind closed doors, so it will be no crowd. I don't know, have you fought in front of no crowd before? And if not, what are you expecting from that then? Because some athletes have said when they get in there, it's just tunnel vision and there could be a million people there or nobody there. It doesn't make a difference. Some say they really thrive off the atmosphere. Where are you at with that? Or one of them that you won't really notice till you get in there?
I was thinking the way I think usually, even I always tell it good fans away and I always shouting. Even a bit walking in, but when the cage doors shut, I really zone out and maybe hear like the coaches shouting stuff like that. So I think it'll be a bit like that. I think when you get punched in the face, you forget about people cheering for you and just get like you say, tunnel vision.
If things clear up this year, how active will you be looking to be for the rest of sort of 2021?
Active as possible. There was a show that May that was mentioned. I said the official just put my name down. But again, there was like potentially 4 points there, and they were all like saying no. So it's a bit disheartening. But I just put my name out there for like a new show. I trust Fisher like him to take smart fights and stuff like that, and just try and be as active as possible because I know you like get back a year now.
So for people who haven't seen you fight then, Mick, what can they expect from a Mick Parkin performance?
I think I'm quite technical for heavyweight, a bit different. I'm not just like wild swinging. Like some of them, obviously, you expect like just big, they're like bundle takedowns, big shots. I think I'm quite light on my feet for being a bit bigger. I'm definitely more of a striker, but I've definitely been grafting wrestling so much with Phil and that, so I definitely feel so confident now to take people down. I feel like my grappling's good. The wrestling was probably a little missing bit. I've always been like decent defensive wrestling, but I need to definitely attack wrestling more. And that's all I've been grafting, really trying like take it, and I feel much more confident now, like in all areas. Like if I get took down, I feel so confident getting back my feet. While before it was like, oh, like didn't I let them take it down? But now I'd be like so confident to scramble back up. My striking, like everything feels like sharp at the minute. I feel fit. So I was kind of waiting for it now.
Perfectly. Mick, finally, can I get a prediction off you for how you see this one going?
I think first round stoppage I do.
Spot on. Yeah. Mick, thank you very much for your time, mate.
Right. Thank you, Jake. Cheers, mate.